Good thing to be a Patreon member. We're gonna figure out how to manifest it or how to do a drawing or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, it's going down. It's going down. So yeah, Brother Panic, The Seven Laws of Dark Power, Volume 2, Self-Mastery. So like I was just telling y'all earlier, I love the way Panic writes. You feel me? He makes it real straight to the point and matter of fact, kind of like what Lon Duquette does. You feel me? Like, hey, just get straight to the point. You feel me? We don't need all the fluff. We don't need all the da 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 da. Let's get to it. You feel me? And this thing is thick. So he must have really put some, extra sauce in here or whatever. It's thicker than his first one. Um, and his first one was genius. You feel me? Because he just really drove straight to the point and really writes niggerdom. So when I was reading this the other day, it's really nigger chaos. You feel me? So he's going to be in a space just like his first book of giving it to you in our natural way of being. You feel me? Because this is all about us. And in it being all about us, right? We're going to start to see things that we naturally do, right? That we're like, oh, that's what that is. You feel me? And we just enhance it from there. And in us enhancing it, we'll just be able to, tap into our dark power, if you will. So the seven laws of dark power. I'm gonna read the introduction. I'm gonna skip the he shouted out Courtney, the editor. He shouted out his sister, his two stepsons. He shouted out Visa and B.O.B. So that's fly. Oh shoot, he didn't put Khadija in here. Okay. He must have just missed. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's who he shouted out. Skip that. Let's read the forward. The forward was written by Courtney, the editor. Shout out to Courtney. Go take her Kundalini yoga class. All right. Like many of you, when I first learned about Brother Panic, I found his unique brand of raw, streetwise teaching appealing. Over the year, his voice, written and spoken, has become a source of guidance for those who tune into it. That includes his charming signature rants. More importantly, what he has to offer in the realm of spirituality and magic is not just based on his intellect, but a mix of scholarship, humor, heart, intuition, and firsthand experience. If you're new to the occult, then know that during the past few decades, we've been fortunate enough to have a few modern sages hanging out among us. Master teachers like Brother Bobby Hammond, C. Freeman L., Dr. Jewel Procrum, and others have kept the fire lit. If you've been about this magical life for more than a minute, then you probably know that Brother Panic ranks alongside them. I have also had the chance to get to know him personally, and as you may have guessed, he has many aspects just like the gods you've studied and encountered. He's knowledgeable, tough, bright, and a gifted storyteller, but he's also very kind, warm, and generous. Yet he is also no stranger everyday human business like heartbreak, illness, family, and how to cold rock a party. Such such is Panic's spirit. Here we find ourselves with Panic's second book, and it's all about power. What it is that you know about that already, that it's something to be wielded over others, that it is something to seek out, that it can be divided, lost, or obtained, that it corrupts, that it needs to be unlocked, that you can have it if you do magic. Better yet, you can probably fill in the blank with endless descriptions about the power of something, love, the mind, money, etc. If you are an occultist, there are many other meanings, right? But this time, friend, you'll know what it means to embrace dark power. And that means more than lighting black candles and chanting Baphomet's name 666 times. So much more. Have you ever watched a spider's prey become trapped, lured in by stupidity, not naivety, or the enchanting, but deceptive beauty of the web? Each insect that gets tangled up and glued to those shiny strands seals its own fate. It's an agonizing and pitiful death. That intricately woven web is designed to attract and trap the unsuspecting and ignorant. Although the spider created the trap, it is the prey who ultimately is the architect of its own suffering. The only one who manages to escape are the biggest, most baddest motherfuckers who can fly away. The others don't stand a chance. Sound familiar? If it is, easy to fall into the trapping of this world, but there is no reason for you to stay stuck. Why do I mention this? As you turn the pages, you'll be reminded of your own power. You'll be reminded that there are certain things you can't get from anyone, that don't need from anyone, and some things just aren't necessary. You'll want to go dark. Reading this, there are moments you'll feel like you've been just chin checked. There are also moments when you will feel a rush of power that wells up from deep in your gut and lands in the seat of your chest. And even more, there are moments that will force you to reflect, reject, rebound, and remember. What next then, dear reader? Move on it. Take it as scholarly, brotherly, or friendly advice. Move on it so that you don't cheat yourself. Move on it so you can be more than an armchair sorcerer and instead be someone who makes magical moves that enable escapes. Are you ready to fly out the web? The 7 laws of dark power are meant to put you back in touch with yourself, your mind, and your own fucking dark power. In the words of Wu-Tang Clan, it's yours. Courtney Jackson. Okay, so that's fire, family, because me having did Courtney's class before, her Kundalini yoga sessions a few times, and understanding her vibration, her writing that is a well-spoken way to even elaborate what panic actually does. You feel me? Like I said, I'm a Bobby Panic Bobby, and in Panic giving us this information in such a way that just makes it practical and useful is the whole key to this stuff. Because at the end of the day, none of this stuff doesn't matter unless you apply it. You feel me? So we want to get into the space of spiritual workers, right? I hope everybody's 8-8 ritual is off the chain because, oh boy, mine was, right? And that's the thing. Once you understand what you're doing and what's actually happening, right, you then can start to move in a space of power, because that's what this whole thing is about, power. You feel me? So definitely get it on, get it on. Anybody got any questions before we jump into this thing? Right. I know some of y'all snuck in. I see y'all coming in the room. Peace to the gods. All right. Introduction. If you ain't about this shit, you may want to mail my book back to me. See, that nigga already starting off chaos. What kind of shit? Huh. This book is a guide for all those on the path to self-mastery. I hate long introductions, so I'll make it as brief as I can. As you can see from the size of the book, this part is as brief as it will get. In this book, I go into so many things I wanted to say, but didn't get a chance to in my first book. Through talking to thousands of people over the years, I found out what pushes everyone towards the information and what are the driving questions. Nothing seems to answer these questions for you but this occult information. Most people can't stand the word occult because they believe it sounds like white shit or just evil. So you may choose to call it metaphysical information. At this point, I give no fucks what you call it. What can't be denied is the driving question about who you are and why you're here is what nags you. Most of those answers are found in this information, and you'll find the answer to that, what really is God. What really is God? Question that you obsess over while you keep a fake face on all day to blend in with dead people who believe a white man is in the sky worrying about if you're naughty or nice. I found that once people get to a place where they are studying this information, they still can't access its full potential, which is their full potential for many reasons. I reveal most of that information in this book, but it's the mentality that needs to be adopted to allow the information to become a tool of actual change. No matter how much you read and accumulate information, it's useless if you can't make it a change for the better. First, first in your physical reality, and then in your consciousness, which is the real point of all this shit. For this reason, I created classes, and for the 7 years I have been teaching them, I'm glad to get reports of mind-changing progress I help to inspire through my teaching techniques. I'm even more excited because I was able to capture that same spirit in this book. I didn't start out with the idea of adding so much detail on method in this book, but I go where the spirit takes me. I was just going to break down the law in a few pages or so. Going through each law, I realized there was much to say on the subjects, so I said it. Good for a beginner or advanced student. I take very advanced occult concepts and make them plain. I learned this from our good brother, Bobby Hemmett. He was a master at what they called demystifying occult subjects. He was known worldwide among the networks of those who had the same questions that you do now. A real teacher will take what you do not know and explain it to you like you're a 3-year-old. So in that very same spirit, I take occult subjects and break them down so you can have a thorough understanding of what's on your plate. At least that's my goal. The idea is to get you in a place where you'll need me, where you will not need me anymore. A true teacher makes teachers, not long-term students. This is why I'm glad to present this book. There's a heap of shit you can use for your transformation. Before we even get to the 7 laws of dark power, the information discussed beforehand can stand on its own as a book. I added tons of details because it helps to reorder your thinking. For those that are new to this information, it challenges what it is you think you know, as I reveal what you couldn't see in plain sight. As for those who can see at this point, I'll still take you deep, revealing things like I always do. I love it because I wrote it where it worked for both audiences. Then we get to the point of the book, the 7 laws of dark power. Number 1, control your mind, control the universe. Number 2, the kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. Number 3, everything on earth has a spirit. Number 4, darkness is light and light is darkness. Number 5, act for one thing, you may get the other. Number 6, what you put in the shit, you get out that shit. Number 7, with every nigger you find, there's also a bitch. All right. Okay, hold on. As I write this intro and lay out the 7 laws, we are in a full solar eclipse at 2:39 p.m. on August 21st, 2017. I wrote this portion while we were in full eclipse. I was gone. The 7 laws are a guide and a way of keeping yourself centered in your work. As you use the laws, harness them to check yourself and to remember your power. You can expand on the definition of these laws, which I encourage as you put in your work for enlightenment. You know how I do. I went everywhere in this book so that you get more information surrounding these laws that you can stand. Darkness isn't evil. Darkness is just another aspect of light. The secret trick has always been to embrace the dark light because out of darkness comes the light you seek. It isn't good or bad. It's unknown to know. And I spent a great deal of time breaking this science down in detail. This is something I'm quite sure you will love. I let go in my writings to give you more of what you've come to hear from me in my lectures. Enjoy the book, as this will be one for the ages. Stay tuned for the next one. But before we get there, you've got to go here. 7 laws of dark power. Okay, part 1, welcome to the dark side. Hey, hallelujah. Now, the thing about Panic that I found that he does real well is just like he said, breaks it down and makes it plain and simple, right? The other thing that I learned in my journey of listening to Panic and reading his books is that when you go back, right, you start breaking more and more and more stuff down. So don't be afraid to re-listen to this stuff. You feel me? Don't be afraid to re-listen to his classes. Don't be afraid to re-listen to my classes. Shit. Because something you might be thinking that I said, right, or Panic said, or Bobby said, right, or anybody for that matter, might be not the way that you seem to, interpret it. You feel me? Sometimes I can like tell that when I say something, and then I get the response back or a question back, I can see or sense that you didn't hear actually what I said, but you feel like the way that I said it is, in that interpretation of your mind. So again, don't be afraid to re-listen to this stuff. The recordings will be up. Anybody got any questions before we start on this thing? Yeah, we should get through this in 2 months, man. Maybe a month and a half. This thing is thicker than I thought. God damn. All right. Number 1, the 7 laws of dark power. The 7 laws of dark magician will be taught of and remembered as a must-have. This will be a standard guide for those who wish to live their lives magically. We have been trained to use intellect and reason to manage our lives, and those who do are looked at as people who have something brilliant to offer society. The ancient man understood a more effective way to manage his short time on planet Earth. This was to live spiritually, or what we in later days call magically. This was actually living by the voice of your spirit, or in New Age language, higher self. We understand the spirit to be of a higher intelligence than human rationale. Your spirit could manage the entirety of your life much better than your everyday intellectual thoughts. Your everyday intelligence was created to act and react to social situations in a standard, predetermined way. Therefore, you can predict how groups of people will most likely respond to certain stimuli. If your agenda is to control people or groups of people, you can base what you do on engineered response, which masquerade as the most intelligent, moralistic things to do. To control them, herd them, scare them, settle them, appease them, or work them up about the subject you desire. Okay, so what Panic is talking about right there is that when you can almost predict how people are going to move all the time, especially humans, right? You're not a human, you're a god, you're a goddess, you're a chaos being. So if everybody's doing one thing, you need to be doing the other. You feel me? So everybody's afraid of this monkeypox. We're using the monkeypox as Hanneman. You feel me? Hanneman's coming through. Michael Jackson's coming through. You feel me? Or using it for power. So all these people that's afraid, this decoding and doing this gematria stuff and saying, look what they're doing. No, you take the gematria and say, look what I'm doing. You feel me? This is the real science of this stuff. We don't worry about what other people are doing. That's like you're giving them attention. And remember, the real currency is your attention. You feel me? So you want to pay attention to what you're doing, right? And not move like the sheep, the masses, or even some of these people that are afraid of their own divine power because somebody else is using it for whatever reasons we deem is, whatever. All right. How come there's no picture of Trayvon Martin on your wall? So we got a picture in here that says, how come there's no pictures of Trayvon Martin on your wall? So basically that's, him making play to this idea of the injustice media mind control that they're showing people is a play on your attention, right? I just put up, did I put that meme in the Geneva app? I'll put it up. Basically, there was a meme. I'll put it up in the Geneva app and it'll make sense. It was basically about Brittany Griner, right? She getting 9 years. And it showed a picture of Donald Duck or Daffy Duck sleepy. And it said, this is how Brittany Griner would be asleep if I got 9 years. Be knocked the fuck out, nigga. She would not give a fuck. So at the same time, we have compassion for these people, you feel me? But then at the same time, we still got to keep on moving in the trajectory of our power, our dark power. Let's take our classic Rodney King example. Most Black people would say he was getting a normal ass whipping from the police of the overseers. But a great deal of white people believed the man was trying to get away. Every Black man or woman knows, based on past and present treatment from living in an actively racist country, that it was a masterful ass beating he received. Your intelligence will tell you that, and it wouldn't mean you weren't right. What is interesting to me is the people who saw just as much as you did believed that Rodney King was not getting abused and that those humble, good police were scared for their lives. We are also quite lucky to have them on the job, since these men are the heroes who risk their lives every day. And these brave men deserve much more than just a paycheck. My intelligence and reason would, at this point, put me in defensive mode as a Black man or woman, and the common Negro would argue, protest, march, yell, cry, and perform a handful of other reactions you could probably name. Not only is this ineffective, but people who believe the police are just doing their job and they are heroes do the same thing for their cause. And nothing gets done because they sincerely believe what they believe. This is by design. It has a name, and it's called social engineering. You have been engineered to have actions and reactions to the same routine situations that emerge in America that are made to look like random acts. It's also made to look like evolution in this country, but not only has nothing changed, the problems are actually the same. The names and the faces have changed, but the issues are exactly the same. No justice, no peace equals Black Lives Matter. Medgar Evers equals Trayvon Martin. Overseers equals police department. George Bush, father or son, equals Donald Trump. Barack Obama equals Martin Luther King Jr. Anybody got any questions, any thoughts on that before we keep going?
I was just gonna say this whole beginnings, like it's funny how it mapped out like my mid-20s, early 30s, like jumping into that we need justice, you know what I'm saying? Jumping into the getting into politics, all that type of shit. That was like my dad's energy from the 60s. Energy.
That Tariq Nasheed.
Oh man, that Tariq Nasheed, that Zoe Williams, Zoe What Morning Show, yeah. Corey Holcomb, 5150, yeah, all that shit back then that was running. Oh man, golly, that shit wrote that shit hook, line, and sinker.
Yep, straight up and down.
Yo, what if that is their job?
Oh, it seems like it was.
Instill that fear.
If it was that easy to get out of, it had to be a job. If it was that easy to figure out now, where it's like we get to a space where it's not even triggering us like that. It's like, oh shit, that was a ploy. Damn.
Yeah, and the thing with Tariq Nasheed, Umar, and all of them, and even Zoe and all of them, they might have a good heart, but they know what at the end of the day, people feed off of fear, you feel me? And that fear feeds people's pockets, you feel me? So they might not unconsciously or consciously be doing the act for money, right? Even though some people might have, the case might be out, but they understand that this fear machine, if they keep on feeding you fear, then you're going to keep on feeding their pockets. You feel me?
Yeah, because I found that weird seeing like products that had that slogan on it, flag signs, bandanas, bumper stickers. I'm like, wait, what's going on with this?
Exactly. All right, here we go. The names indeed have changed, but the situations are clearly the same since nothing changes at its core. You're just being entertained with the news and your emotions are played with until you die. You're distracted from finding out who you really are and your true potential. This is by design, make no mistake. For this to work as it does, what they rely on is your so called intelligence. You will, and most Black people have come up with some interesting ideas to save themselves while in American captivity. You should understand that it's your captors who control the very ideas that you apply to your life's reasoning. You then write your ideas, you then write your books and teach your lectures to make your arguments and reactions based on the engineered actions presented to you by a thought out grand design from those who control you. Most civil rights speakers are manicured, intelligent fools who are under the false idea that they are making a difference. They are socially engineered children who are reacting to their slave masters' will, but not bright enough to turn towards their own divine mind to balance their reality. Your basic understanding as a man is that you should be creating your own reality, not reacting to another man's agenda. Let me read that again. Your basic understanding as a man is that you should be creating your own reality, not reacting to another man's agenda. Even if you have an idea or write a book on what we should do, it still factors in the situations, scenarios, and problems you are forced to deal with. Problems which were given to you by your slave master in the first place. The ancient pre-slave Black man and woman had a very different idea of how to use their minds that the post-slavery Negro, then the post-slavery Negro. We are using our wit to deal with the human side of our existence. This wit we use is a product of survival. Black people are in constant survival mode. To thrive as opposed to just surviving, we need to understand what we understood to be our reality before we had this American ignorance on our hands. Also, it must be known we had this problem of relying on the intellect and reasoning, not spirit, to manage our lives way before the enemy emerged and took control of the planet. In fact, you were close to full spiritual failure by the time your Holocaust started. You have regressed in your human intelligence for many more years than your so-called slave masters have been on the planet. In other words, you are falling deeper into human ignorance way before you lost total control of the planet. Mind you, we still dealt with spirituality, but we were already praying to the deities instead of understanding the gods and goddesses were us, which was all the time and still is a failure on our part. Okay, so that's an important aspect because this survival mode will hold you back. You feel me? So, just like the other books we read in this book club, right? A big aspect of this stuff, and just like I was saying earlier, is you are doing the it. Nobody's doing nothing to you. So whatever your reflection is, or whatever your outside world is showing you, right? Then that's what you manifest in this now time, in this reality. You feel me? So the way you move in a space of power, right, is by controlling your mind, is by controlling what you feed in your mind, right, is by dealing with your addiction to, the hurt, the struggle bodies and stuff like that, right? And this idea of surviving, right? Or it's the idea of I get it out the mud. You feel me? You want to change and eradicate that as soon as possible. because that will keep on holding you into this I get out the mud, I'm hard type shit and all this other goofy stuff. You feel me? All right. We got 20 minutes, y'all.
Here's a side note real quick. The download that came to me yesterday was that a lot of times, family, if you cannot release eating meat, and I'm not saying don't eat meat at all, but let's say if you can't do like a meatless Monday, or if you can't say, you know what, today I'm not going to eat no meat. If you can't do something like that, if you feel like meat has to be a part of every single meal that you eat, you need to tap in and understand if you are operating in survival mode. It was literally just a download that came to me in the bathroom that people who feel like they need meat within their diets, most of the time are really just trying to survive, and eating that meat makes them feel, like they're surviving, or like they're okay, or like they're here. So that was just a download that came yesterday. And I just want to let the family know while on the topic of survival mode. Let me know what y'all think about that in the chat. Like if that's something that y'all could get or understand.
Yeah, that need is, I did a whole thing on needs and wants a few years ago, which was real heavy. I need to find to do another one. All right. What also interests me and should interest you as well is when you observe the other side of this mentality. I'm talking about the people who said Rodney King was scary and that he was trying to attack the police. For these people's lives to make sense to them, we know they need and must believe this. What I find interesting is that they really do believe with all their hearts. After saying, fuck those racist bastards, I had to ask myself how a human can come to convince themselves of almost any far-fetched reality to be true. The answer is they and you were trained since you were born. You were taught in Sunday school that a man was in a whale's stomach for 3 days and walked out, and a list of other stories that are just as implausible. So it's not about not understanding the mind control aspect of this. We get that we are under mind control. I'm talking about the day-to-day socially engineered reaction of people. Our people got caught up in trying to prove our emotional reality to white people in hopes to gain their respect, understanding, and compassion. We were trained to become obsessed with trying to get white people to see us as humans worthy of equal treatment in their eyes, which means they convinced us they are the Earth's human standards to live up to. That is fucking fire, nigga. I did a whole thing on that before, but the way Panic just broke that shit down, that shit is fire. And that's because that shit, that's that white daddy complex. You feel me? And I did something on that talking about White Lives Matter. You feel me? As a video called The White Lives Matter, which is fire, because we have to look at ourselves as the kings and rulers of the world. You feel me? So when we are going into these jobs and we see these people in these higher up spaces, that's still a programming, because the white Jesus mentality or the religious motif mentality is still programmed in your being to see this symbol, because remember, they're just symbols, as higher ups and stuff like that, or as the rulers of whatever, right? So yeah, that's crazy. What we as occultists should be asking ourselves as a standalone observation is this: what process goes on in the mind to get any person, to the point where they're made to believe almost anything based on their training, then adjust their reality accordingly? Remember, you have people on this planet who will argue to the point of tears that Mary got pregnant by God and Joseph was good with that. If I told them, same Negroes, the Easter Bunny is real, they would think I'm the crazy one, yet they believe this cockamamie story. The training and mind control routine would have what we call a sane man demanding that a woman came from one of his ribs. If you don't get emotional about the stupidity of that idea and just observe the genius of the white men who have confused the average Negro to believe such incredible shit, is actually astounding. The same Negro who believes that would not in a million years entertain the idea that I could crap out a delicious bowl of rabbit stew. Both stories are equally stupid and unreasonable, but because of mind control, the first one is the law. Okay, so this is when we get into this place of being the ultimate observer. So y'all remember we talked about the ultimate observer, just observe and understand. And then also a bigger aspect is why ask why. Why ask why? You want to always ask why all the time. It doesn't matter. Like, you know what I'm saying? I told my brother some years ago, I told him, I said, why do you believe Jesus is white and why won't you challenge that? He's so, but now he's coming around. You feel me? Now he's saying, okay, well, Jesus is black. You see what I'm saying? So now he needs to ask himself, why did I first believe that Jesus was white, right? And then why? And this is a true story because D-Ray was right there. She'll tell you that nigga said that nigga was white as day. You feel me? And then asked, why was I always believing in this story like this? And why am I so emotionally invested into it? So becoming the ultimate observer and just observing people, right? And observing how people move and observing what people how people react to things is you sitting on top of the world, right? Is you taking yourself out of the world, right? And just being in the world and not of the world. All right, let's keep it going. We got 15 minutes, y'all. After seeing for years how people can say and believe the most outlandish shit imaginable, the occultists should have a bright idea. If they can make a man believe that Noah brought two of every animal in the world on a boat and people accept this as their reality, I should be able to self-create my own actuality as well, no matter how so-called illogical, far-fetched, and irrational my ideas may be. The fact is, your personal understanding of stimuli is the hidden key to managing your human success or failure in this reality. You have a choice on how you see the action. You define what is meant in your mind, and this is where you have control. This process of thought reality programming is exactly how we ran the planet for thousands of years without flaw. We just created a reality for ourselves and our children that was in our best interest. We understood that this reality, or whatever you want to call it, could be inventively created with no limits. In fact, we also understood no one can actually create your reality but you. The problem is we agree and accept the reality of others and adopt them as our own, starting with our parents. All right, that's fire, family. Anybody have any questions on that? I know we should.
I was just gonna say that that programming when he speaks on the being programmed by your parents, like for me, especially in meditation, that just helped me let go of so much bullshit. And like D-Ray was saying about the cloud that don't move, those are those clouds that don't move. You know what I'm saying? You'd be like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? I'm angry, or I drink, or I smoke, or I don't do this, I don't do that. All that shit was, you know what I'm saying, was programmed by your parents, and they was programmed too. So, you know what I'm saying? It helps you let go of so much shit that you don't have to hold on to that you think that is yours.
Facts. And just the idea of us, putting out the idea of you have to go to school, you have to go to college, you have to get a job, or like a regular job, a 9-to-5 job. That's a programming. If you programmed your kids to believe that You know, when you grow up, when you get older, you're gonna own a business, right? That's all they would think about. You feel me? No, you don't have to go to school. You feel me? These kids today are chaos. They're playing video games, making money, and they ain't they're not apologetic about it either. You feel me? So there's something that happened, the alchemical uh uh formula inside of us, right, is speeding up because these kids get it. They're like, yeah, that school stuff is it. They've been dropping out for years, right? Not saying, whatever, drop out or whatever, but whose reality is right that you have to put your whole self-esteem, right, or your whole energy into a system that's not for you, that's trying to create slaves out of you, right? That's trying to make you think a certain way. Shit, it was the first day of school today with our kid, with our son KJ, and we like, all right, KJ, just do your thing. You feel me? But at the same time, we understand that when he comes home, we letting him know that, yeah, you go into this school, right? But at the same time, we reaffirming that he has an individual creative mind. You feel me? Anybody have questions on that?
Questions or comments. It don't just have to be questions. You can have, an opinion on what's being discussed. For me, I think not only do we have to pay attention, and I think we know this spiritually and consciously, right? On this path, we know and understand this, but we have to pay attention to how it actually shows up because, it's not always what our parents said, but also what our parents did, right? So the ways that they didn't show up or the ways that they did show up, the things that they just showed us through their life. And so we have to pay attention to how those actions of theirs affect our actions today. So sometimes the programs that we've received from our parents, sometimes it's not all bad. Some of the things that our parents, for example, my mother, first of all, let me say this. You have to create balance between the program that you receive from your parents and the stories and the programs that you want to instill in your children and the life that you want to live. So, for example, my mother was very controlling, but she was also very present. She was always there, right? She was always there. She was always present. She was always going to show up. She was at every basketball game, every volleyball game. She was going to make sure that we always had. She was going to make sure that we always were coming into situations and circumstances with our best foot forward. And so that is a program that I got from my mother, is to always, always, always show up for your kids, always be there for your kids, always go the extra mile for them. So that is a powerful thing. And that's something that I want to maintain. That is something that I want to continue. But I also have to create balance and let them make some decisions for themselves. Let them figure out some things for themselves so that they can know how to think, know how to function when they are out in the world on their own. Right. So we have to be able to understand the programs that we've received from our parents and create balance within it, because it's not all bad. It's not all detrimental to your spiritual life and who you are being or who you are becoming. Some of the stuff actually serves you. In fact, all of it actually serves you if you can understand how it serves you and if you can understand how it has impacted you.
Yep, straight up and down.
Understand.
Yeah, that's straight up and down. And yeah, that's it. Because a form of mind control is getting up every day and brushing your teeth. Form of mind control is, all of that, putting on your clothes and stuff like that, and making yourself presentable. So all of that stuff is good, or there's an aspect of something that will help you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's keep it going. We got 7 minutes, y'all. All right, as we grow up from childhood and begin to integrate our consciousness with society to fit in, to fit in, you got that in quotations, we start to adopt the invented morals and social ideas fed to us through places like school, church, and so on. Systems like the various media outlets are repetitiously and subliminally pounding you with specific ideas like America is the greatest country in the world. Even though you're a strong Black man or woman and you would never say that shit, you still ain't going anywhere else to live. And I bet in your mind, you feel every place in the world is worse unless you traveled the world and were personally introduced to another reality. The clever thing about it is once we add our own intellect to to the socially engineered situations, we believe our ideas are our own, and these are our own genius solutions. All your reactions are intellectual, social engineered reactions to stimuli given to you in the first place. All right, let me read that again. The clever thing about it is once we add our intellect to the socially engineered situations, we believe our ideas are our own, and these are our own genius solutions. All your reactions are intellectual, socially engineered reactions to stimuli given to you in the first place. Let's look at this thing we call life through the game of chess. I know you niggers love to play chess because you believe it to be a deep game and you look smart while you play. My father taught me how to play at age 10 or so, and there was a short lecture on why I lost after each game we played. It took me 6 years before I won my first game against him on June 19th, 1984. I know this because it was after we watched a television show that only aired one time called Graffiti Rock. After that breakthrough, I would whip his ass more and more each time we played. I was a rite of passage. It was a rite of passage and initiation. And after that, I lost interest in this game. I know how you view this story that I outthunk my dad. I became more intelligent because I made more my own genius choices within the game. And after years of working hard and putting in the necessary work, I was able to beat the man who taught me the game. Years later, he told me I beat him fair and square, and there was no hidden lesson for my self-esteem. He was playing his game and truly lost. Chess is supposed to be based on the game of life, and for the most part, it is. There was a brother who did an entire lecture on the subject, including proving this game came from Kemet. So the game of chess is ours like everything else. So now let's look at this from the perspective of the occultist. An occultist would analyze what he has in front of him. Chess is a game played between two opponents on opposite sides of a board containing 64 squares of alternating colors. Each player has 16 pieces, one king, one queen, two rooks, two bishops, two knights, and 8 pawns. Each piece has specific moves that they can make, and the goal is to protect your king and keep him from being checkmated, which means game over. You will believe that you're making your own decisions during your chess game. It is your decision and your strategy in the game that makes you a winner or a loser. Like life, in your mind, you believe you're in control, but you never once question the rules that were handed to you. Like chess, in life, you work within the rules that were given to you. The 1% who rule you are following our science. And the occultist knows that you don't play the game, you watch others play while you dictate the rules. No matter how good your game is and how many wins you have, you're at an overall loss because you submitted to the game in the first place and never challenged the rules or questioned why they exist the way they do. You went along with what was given to you. I don't play games, I run games. Bobby Hemmett was asked once if he played chess as if this was a badge of honor. And his answer was, I don't play any games. What's the moral of this story? The sheep play the games by the rules given to them and are made to believe they are making their own decisions. It's the same way Americans believe they are free as they play the game with white and black pieces. White people versus black people. Okay, that's fire. And that is a great place for us to stop. I know y'all Negroes don't want to stop, but we got some pertinent stuff to do right now. But that's fire, family, because at the end of the day, what happened was, right? What happened is he basically broke down the chess game, which, you know, I heard it before, the chess game with the white and black pieces, you feel me? And you being subject to being in the game, you feel me? And not just moving the game or setting up the game yourself and letting other people play. So as we get deeper and deeper into the book, it's going to really break down the idea or this thing we call mind control, right? To move us in a space of power, to move us into our dark power and start understanding that we do have to get out of the mind control ways and get into a space of, you know, being the ultimate observer, right? And not having no emotional reactions, because remember, your feelings are the key, right? And if things trigger you, you got to start asking yourself why, right? Why is this triggering me? And then move into a space of power and adjusting that power accordingly. Anybody got any questions before we get up out of here?
I was just going to add a thought. I never thought about it like that when it came to games. My family's big on dominoes, and I always just like to observe. And you want to play? Nah, I just watch. I prefer to observe watching the game rather than playing it. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I want to say something too about the chess. Like I've been playing chess since I was little, and I taught my son at 3 years old to play chess. But it's a trip because I didn't really trip on it like that with the black and white pieces, and the white always play first. They just that's the rule of the game. White go first, and I'm like, wow, that's deep.
Yeah. That's good, Nicole. And we're gonna get deeper and deeper into this thing for real. And
that's definitely a program.
You said what, babe?
I said that's definitely a program.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The game, you know, that's definitely a program through the game. So that's interesting. And my family likes the game too. Like when we get together, it's dominoes, it's spades, and we will play for a long time, right? We'll be getting it in. It gets very exciting, but we have to be able to understand both sides of the coin. And, you know, and we determine how these things serve us. We determine what it means. Let me tell you what I mean by that, and then we got to get off of here. But whenever I play spades or whenever I play dominoes and I'm getting these hands and I'm getting this specific layout of numbers, I'm always asking myself, okay, why did I get this? What does this mean? I'm always spiritualizing it. Like the last time we played spades, I had got like a jack of spade, a nine of spade, a jack of club, and a nine of club. I had got all of these dark cards, right? And they were a jack and the nine. So you can always spiritualize anything. You just have to have that mind to do it. And that's breaking the program as well. Not thinking of it as, I'm playing spades or I'm playing dominoes, but really seeing what you get. I'm like, all right, spirit, let me see what I'm gonna get out of this. Or how can I work with this hand that I've been given? How can I make the best out of this situation? So I think the moral of the story is you have to be the person who taps into your power in all aspects of life.
That's a fact, man. Yeah, so we're going to get deeper into this on Saturday 9:30 a.m. The recording will be up. Do not be afraid to re-listen to this recording, family, because remember, at the end of the day, when you re-listen to this thing, it's going to definitely start breaking down some aspects or some things inside of you that will help you maneuver. All right, y'all. Peace to the Chaos family.